Hello, everybody, and welcome to Talk About, your usually weekly news show where I, your host, Alex Brown, would gather the top headlines in gaming from the past week and break them down with you. But, of course, as you already know, because you've been watching these videos, of course, right? There are just too many games coming out and too much content I want to make that the news has been taking a back seat because I would like to focus on all of these games coming out. Although, I must be honest with you all, it's a lot easier to produce content with this new PC that I have. If you weren't aware, I have a new PC. You should know that because you watch every single one of my videos, right? And you hit the like button, right? You should do that right now if you haven't. But what I'm trying to say is there because of how much easier it is to produce these videos, I might do a return to form soon. Do a news episode because there's been a lot of news as well. There's been a lot of news, so I definitely should do a news update video. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But today we're not. But today we're not talking about the news. We're here to talk about Assassin's Creed Mirage, as you can see on your screen there, and I can also see. Very big fan of this new very big fan of this new overlay. I don't know if you could tell, but yes, I have played Assassin's Creed Mirage, and everyone else has as well because it's been out for like a week. Is that right? I don't remember when it came out, I'll be honest. But unlike most of my videos, most of my content talk about, this is going to be an actual full review discussion instead of just my overall impressions so far, because Assassin's Creed Mirage is a much smaller experience than a lot of those other games that I've been covering lately. And just so happens I was able to finish it because of that, because of how much shorter it was. Because and that is overall the goal that this game is trying to achieve, and I can definitely say it achieved being a much shorter experience because, of course, as we all know, Assassin's Creed lately, the most recent entries have been just these massive, sprawling open worlds with so much to do, and it can be a little daunting and a little exhausting. Where, Origins was that reboot, that new take on Assassin's Creed, and then I had a lot of content, like 40 hours of content, and then Odyssey came through. I loved Odyssey, by the way. I loved every minute of Odyssey, and it had 3 times as much content. I spent 125 hours in that game, and I loved all of it. Great game. I'm gonna say it. Might be controversial. It's the best Assassin's Creed, in my opinion. That's all I gotta say on that. And then Valhalla, of course, I put about 30 hours into, 20, 25, 30, something like that. We'll say 25 hours into, and it was just way too much, and I never really got to it thoroughly. Yeah, I never got through it enough. But I gotta tell you, I'm gonna say it right now. Assassin's Creed Mirage makes me consider going back to that. But before we talk more about Mirage, I just want to say, yes, I am very, very, very into all of the Assassin's Creed. I'm not just a recent Assassin's Creed fan, so I'm very much aware of Mirage's attempt to essentially recapture what the original Assassin's Creed games had going for them, and it does it successfully. I, of course, I played Assassin's Creed 1 in like it came out in 2007, I believe, but I didn't play it until I remember being excited for Revelations. So I must have played it in 2010 because, of course, Brotherhood came out in 2010. Revelations was 2011, if I remember correctly. So if I was excited for Revelations, must have played it the prior year is when I started. So I'll say it's been well over a decade since I've played Assassin's Creed 1, but Mirage definitely captures a lot of those same feelings I had when I played Assassin's Creed 1, and it has a lot of echoes to Assassin's Creed 1 based on what I remember of Assassin's Creed 1. Things like throwing knives, things like the and like the setting is what a lot of people are drawing comparisons to about it being like the time period and all of that. I was more so thinking of like the assassin's base that we had and all of that. A lot of things that made you think about it, and a lot of things that definitely draw on the earlier iterations of Assassin's Creed before it was this big, massive, sprawling open world RPG. Although I must say I prefer those. I'll just say it. Assassin's Creed Mirage is essentially what if we made one of those type of Assassin's Creed games today. And it definitely achieves that in every way possible. And that is both a positive thing and a negative thing. Because in a lot of ways, this game does feel pretty dated because, of course, it is drawing back to the original Assassin's Creed games, which are well over a decade old, and there are a lot of systems in place and a lot of mission structures that should have stayed in the past. Things like, you know, tailing your enemies, or not tailing your enemies, but tailing a what do you call them? Tailing an NPC. We'll just say things like tailing an NPC that can last for 5 minutes, and if you get caught, you're screwed. And you have to restart the mission. That sort of thing. It feels archaic in a sense. It feels like a thing that we should have left behind, and in a lot of senses, and it has a lot of the similar problems I would have with those older games, like a lot of the climbing I would get really annoyed with. Like in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I can speak to more than the other games because that's the one I've put the most time into. But in Odyssey, the climbing I feel like it let you just climb. It was more like Breath of the Wild in that way, where you could just climb any surface, or more surfaces than you could in Mirage, at least in earlier Assassin's Creed games. Where Odyssey, I never really thought about how to, you know, correctly climb a building because you could just go for it. But in Mirage, it's just all of those similar annoyances that I had over a decade ago are back to haunt me still. Where I'm trying to climb a building and then Basim just jumps off instead, and it's a whole thing. As you know, sometimes you just don't go up. That was a whole thing. But also, let's talk about where this game takes place. I completely skipped over the story setup. My bad. You know, we're just talking here. That's what I do. I just talk about a game, and I just go where my mind takes me. I should probably consider doing outlines so I could hit the outlines in order, but I haven't done that yet. Maybe next time. Maybe for the next review. I don't know. We'll see what that is. But of course, Basim, we all know him. I honestly don't really know him. I don't know why I said we all know him, but he is from Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and this Mirage serves as a prequel to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and because of that, like I mentioned earlier, I think I mentioned it earlier. I'll be honest, I recorded this video almost twice. Like this is like I recorded like half of this video already, and then I realized my mic was muted, so I started over. So I think I mentioned this earlier in this video, in this recording, that Basim as a character is pretty interesting and compelling enough where I go, hey, I might want to see what happens to him next in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And that makes me want to pick up Valhalla, which I started, got about 25 hours into, we'll say, and I just way too much going on. So maybe if I wanted to see this through a line with Basim in Valhalla, I might bounce back to it. Of course, not anytime soon because have you checked the release calendar? Way too many games. But back to Mirage. We'll continue to talk about the story. We're talking about Basim as a character, and this story essentially follows him as a how he joined the Assassin's Guild in the first place, or excuse me, the Hidden Ones. Can we talk about that for a second? I understand that we're, you know, like further back, so far back that they haven't been called the Assassin's Guild or whatever, the Brotherhood yet, and they're called the Hidden Ones. Can we go to the future? Okay, I'll talk about where I want an Assassin's Creed game to be set at the end of the video. But like, can we ditch the Hidden Ones thing? I don't know about you guys, but I personally am tired of calling them the Order of the Ancients and the Hidden Ones. They're the Assassins and the Templars. Okay, come on, come on, come on. You know what I mean? They said Hidden One right there. Anyways, besides the point, we'll talk about that later. But Assassin's Creed Mirage, of course, like I just said, is a prequel, and it tells Basim's story of joining the Brotherhood. I'm going to call it the Brotherhood. And most of the time, of course, I don't really know what goes on with Basim's characters, how in depth we get, how much information we get, and all of that stuff, how much character development he has in Valhalla. But I can confidently say that in Mirage, it's not much. And honestly, it's gonna sound like the complete antithesis to what this game is trying to achieve. I feel like the game needed more time to flesh out its characters and Basim as a character in general. I don't know if maybe Valhalla, fleshes him out more than and like delves more into his past. But considering that this was a prequel that was supposed to tell you about his past, I just feel like it left me wanting more, which is why I kind of want to play a Valhalla again, see what's going on there, actually make progress, which maybe is what they're going for all along. Because it definitely starts in one place, and it's like they had an end goal, so they just went there. There was no actual development, kind of just started and then it ended. Because also this game has a much different um sort of, the way you tackle your missions is much different than I remember it being in Assassin's Creed. Maybe it has been this way. Maybe I just have poor memory because, of course, like I said, it's been well over a decade since I've played these kind of Assassin's Creed games, where it does essentially the Breath of the Wild thing. That's twice I've mentioned Breath of the Wild. Also, here is me trying to climb. You have to climb a very specific way, which personally I just think makes the game less fun to play. So that's why I prefer the Odyssey way and the Breath of the Wild way, like I mentioned earlier. And I mentioned Breath of the Wild again in the sense that Odyssey, nope, Mirage lets you tackle your missions in any order you would like. Like you get to a certain point in the game, and then it's like, here are your missions. Go to these bureaus and go, do your assassinations, assassinate your targets. And I thought that that was really cool, but it wasn't cool enough to make the entire it the what you lose in doing that sort of open structured go over here sort of style is that uh you get less character development because they don't account for a straightforward path where you can develop your character along a path. I don't know why it's a snake. It's more like this happened and this happened and this happened and this happened, and not this happened so Basim thinks this happened so Basim thinks that. You know what I mean? It's not linear in a sense, so it's harder to account for what the player has experienced and what Basim has experienced. So it's harder to, develop his character throughout that. It's possible, but they just didn't do it in this game. And of course, in a game like Breath of the Wild, it's less important because Link's not an actual character. He is the link between the player and the game world, of course. That's why he's called Link. So he didn't need the character development, but for this game to be a prequel that talks more about that delves more into the past of existing character we already know from Valhalla, I expected there to be a lot more of a character study, as in most prequels. Like, obviously, this is like the best example of a prequel ever, so it's like really setting expectations too high when I say this. But like in Better Call Saul, of course, we got so much more info on how Saul Goodman became Saul Goodman and all that. But in this, I feel like I haven't played Valhalla, so I haven't really experienced all of Valhalla, so I don't know where Basim goes. But I really feel like playing this, I don't get the sense that you learn a lot more about him. It's very by the numbers. It's a lot like someone could tell you about this story in Valhalla, and that serves the same purpose. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense. I'm sure, considering how massive Valhalla is, I'm sure someone mentions what happens to him and they just did exactly that and didn't like dig deeper. But yeah, I'm also supposed to try to start giving these games scores earlier rather than later. But like I said, I have no structure. I might consider an outline going forward to help out with that. But if you're here, you're here. You know what I mean? Thanks for being here. Hit the like button if you haven't. But I want to give on the scale of 1 to 10, my scale is 1 to 10. Talk about scale. This game ends up at a 6 out of 10. Because, yeah, Like I said, there are the frustrations from 2007 that are still here in 2023, whether it be parkour being not great and frustrating in a lot of places, or mission design being the same missions we played in 2007 and like 2011 and all that throughout those games, and not really evolving in any sense. That's the biggest issue I have with Mirage, is that while it is a sort of take on the original Assassin's Creed style of games, they don't really do anything to push it forward, and it is just more of the same, which is why they stopped doing this kind of Assassin's Creed in the first place. I was hoping that this game would have, you know, pushed the envelope forward, but instead it was more of the same, and it was a much shorter experience, which is what they were going for, as this game was a DLC expansion at first, which developed into a full title, and it is only $50, which is helpful. But at the end of the day, I do think that this game just left me wanting more, whether it be more from the story, more from Basim himself, or just more from anyone else in this game. It's not, you don't spend enough time with anyone, because there's a lot of, you know, a lot of things happen in the story, but a lot of it doesn't really feel like it matters because I don't really know any of these people very well. I do wonder how people who played Valhalla through and through feel more about this game, because, of course, you do have better knowledge of these characters and where they go, so maybe seeing where they started is a more fulfilling journey for them. But as someone who's just playing this game and judging this game, I can't confidently say that it's not a very compelling story. But I must say about this game being $50, it is also included on Ubisoft Plus, which is how I played this game for $17.99. Because of course, Ubisoft Plus is their subscription service where you can play their new games day and date. This is not an ad. It sounds a little bit like one, but hey, it's a great service because it lets you play a brand new game like Assassin's Creed Mirage day one for $17.99 instead of $49.99, and it's a much shorter game, so you can finish it. It took me 13 hours to complete this game, and yeah, it was $17.99 well spent, despite it being not a great experience, being a fine experience. I am definitely glad that I spent $18 instead of $50. And of course, also Ubisoft Plus, it's the deluxe edition. So I guess I saved like $40 by using Ubisoft Plus, because I am done with this game. I have no intention to 100% it like I have with most other Assassin's Creed games, which is a bummer. I do just think that it just feels old, which is the biggest knock I can give against it. Like I said, it just didn't push the series forward, and I do think it has some good ideas. It's not all bad, okay? It's not all bad. But before we talk about some of the good, let's continue to talk about the bad so I can just get it all out of the way. Like I said, old, out of date, parkour. Come on, look at this. You saw that. You're seeing it on the screen. It's not been ideal. But yeah, to finish bagging on the game for a little bit here, I think that the combat also is unbalanced, and not so much that I suck at it, which maybe I just do, but I do think that let's see if I can have some combat I can skip ahead to. Was there combat earlier? There probably was. But when it comes to combat, I don't have any. Wow, did I? I'm really good at stealth, I guess. Okay, here's some combat. I did a little bit of combat, but in terms of combat, it's like your light attacks and heavy attacks, dodge and parries, that sort of thing. But I feel like, of course, there is a dodge. Uh, there are parryable attacks and unparryable attacks, and I feel like in most balanced games, the parry attack, of course, it comes at you, the yellow attack, and then the red attack is the undodgeable, which you just saw there. And I don't know what that rewind button, how far it did. Looked like it was really far. Anyways, I gotta figure stuff out. Anyways, the unblock are the unparryable attacks. I feel like happen just as fast as the parryable attacks, and usually there should be like a wind up, and it's a bit of a learning curve, because there's like it's an instantaneous. There's like a no difference between a red attack and a parryable attack. So a lot of times I'll go for a parry and I need to dodge. It's just a learning curve. You'll get there eventually if you feel frustrated by it, which I did a little bit every now and then. Of course, this is not supposed to be like the RPG games or even the older games where hey, you could just clown out all these people. It's supposed to be more challenging because stealth is encouraged in this game, but of course, I'll be honest with you, stealth isn't encouraged that much because there's nothing like a oh you're detected, mission failed. There's no like 100% synchronization like there was in the prior games of this type where it's like oh to get 100% synchronization, get zero detection, get hide two people in a hack a stale bleh, hide two people in a bale of hay or something like that. There's no bonus challenges like that except for in the contracts, which are the game's side. It's a side objective, side quest, side quest. Yeah, I guess it's a side activity. That's what I was looking for that you can do in the game, which are assassin's contracts, which go assassinate a person, help this person out, that sort of thing. And yeah, completely forgot what I was talking about. But yeah, the combat, yeah. Oh, stealth. That's what I was talking about. With the stealth, it's encouraged, but it is not forced upon you or um even rewarded. That's the best way to put it. Yeah, it's the stealth is encouraged but not rewarded, so why would you? Because at a certain point, after you have gotten over that learning curve of the combat system, you can just decimate these fools. And also, when you get that smoke bomb, assassinate people. It's a good time. It's a good time. There's also an assassin's like focus ability where you can essentially like mark targets and execute them. I never used that. It was tutorialized to me and I just completely forgot about it. And it's really cool because I heard that the explanation for it, which is like you can mark all these enemies and then like in an instant Basim just assassinates all of them. And the in-universe explanation for it is that Basim was just so fast that the Animus couldn't keep up. Let's talk about the Animus for a second. Of course, like all Assassin's Creed games, for some reason still, you aren't actually Basim. You are someone experiencing Basim's memories from the present, and it's the whole modern day thing, and you're in the Animus. It's stupid and dumb, okay? I'm saying it. I think it's stupid and it's dumb. I'm tired of modern day stuff in these Assassin's Creed games. Get out of here. No one cares. I think. If you care, let me know. Okay. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings by saying no one cares. But I don't think anyone cares. Okay. No one buys these games for the modern day storyline. I don't even know what's going on in the modern day storyline. I don't pay attention to the modern day storyline. No one has cared about the modern day storyline since Desmond because that's the only time they actually cared about it and actually did something there. So get it out of the games, okay? No one buys this for modern day. They never market anything about the modern day either. It's always about look at this time period. Look at how authentic we are to this time period. And I must say, once again, let me pull up the other footage. This is a really cool rendition of Baghdad. I've never been to Baghdad, but I can definitely say that it's pretty. It's very, very pretty place. As you can see here, this is the gameplay footage where I sort of just walked around and I was like, wow, this place is beautiful. I must say this is definitely like one of the most not graphically best because of course well character models and face models still not Ubisoft's strong suit, of course, unfortunately. But in terms of the world, this is definitely one of the most beautiful worlds I've seen from a Ubisoft title. It has all of the next gen power going into it to make it look really good. Let's full screen this. This isn't full screen. Anyways, all of that really helps to make it look really good. And also you can play this game high quality mode or 60 frames per second. It's been a very stable 60 frames per second. I'm not even a frames guy, but I've been playing it in 60 frames mode. So it's pretty good. Very stable. And a shockingly no bugs. There was one bug actually. I had one bug where for some reason I don't have any footage of it. This is all early gameplay, of course. Basim had a dagger, a throwing knife rather, just always in his hand. It was really weird. In all the cutscenes, just a throwing knife was in his hand for all of them. It was really, really funny actually, because also a moment where an enemy was like, "Ah, I got you," and then Basim was like, "You got me," and he dropped his weapon, but he still had a throwing knife in his hand. It was really funny, I thought, but nothing like no bugs that made me go ooh ooh. Shockingly, a very polished game, which isn't that shocking considering it was a DLC originally. So I guess it makes a lot of sense that it's insanely polished because all of the bugs that were in Valhalla theoretically would have been in this, but they already squashed all of those bugs in Valhalla, right? I think that's how game development works. I don't know, so don't quote me. But yeah, and also when he moved his arm fast in a cutscene once, he threw the knife. It was really weird, and it was still there. It's funny. I thought that was funny. But in terms of things I still haven't talked about and would like to, let me think on that. I think that's it about Assassin's Creed Mirage. 6 out of 10. As always, whenever I start to end the video, I usually come up with like 17 other things to talk about. So I'm going to start to end this video and see if something happens. But yeah, Assassin's Creed Mirage was a return to form for Assassin's Creed that I don't really think it necessarily needed because, like I said, those games are old and we moved beyond them for a reason. Oh, I didn't talk about the good. Wow, I almost skipped completely over the good. This game does have some good ideas, okay? It's not all bad. It's not, also, 6 isn't bad, 6 is fine, okay? So, um, there are a lot of interesting ideas in this game that I do hope they expand upon in a different take on this type of Assassin's Creed game, one that isn't, you know, pigeonholed into being a DLC that is just expanded, in a full game, in a full $70 game of this. Maybe 20 hours instead of 13 hours, something like that. Where a lot of the main missions, you'll have all of these, you start off, or with all the main missions, you know where your target is, but you don't know how to get them, how to get to them. And there are a lot of these opportunities presented to you that would help you get to them. But I feel like a lot of times, at least the times when I did them, they are more so just, hey, you should do this so that you can get to them, and not, hey, if you did this, this would happen so that you could do this, and then you could get the target. It feels more linear than, hey, you could do all of these things, and eventually you'll get to your target one way or the other. It's just, hey, this is how you get to your target. That's how it feels like, at least. And I feel like if they expanded on that with a lot more opportunities instead of just the one or two that they have to help you out, it would make for a more interesting game because, of course, it's not. There's a lot less experimentation involved when it's just, hey, there's this opportunity that would help you get to them, and I would prefer it to be more like Dishonored, more like Hitman, where it's like, hey, all of these, you have so many options to get to your target, figure it out instead of just a one or two. And I really feel like that should be the evolution of this type of Assassin's Creed, where it is taking inspiration from Dishonored, from Hitman, those immersive sims, I believe, is what people call that specific type of genre of games, where you can do so many things that all interact with each other, where you could talk to a guard, tell a guard, hey, this guard is cheating, or this guard is, uh, you know, banging your wife, which makes the guards fight each other for a second, something like that. I don't know where that reference came from. I completely just on the spot did that, where you can make the guards fight each other, and then the guards are too busy fighting each other to notice you slip in and do that sort of thing. Where things like that, just have more fun with it. Have a lot more opportunities because you can eavesdrop on conversations, but only specific conversations that the game has already laid out for you. If there are a lot more conversations you could eavesdrop on that have a lot more opportunities presented to you, I really think that this could be a much better game. And it's something that they could work on in a future iteration of this type of game and not the open world RPG type of games. Also, speaking on that, the skill tree in this game, it was very relevant. I didn't really touch the skill tree much at all, but it was fine. You didn't need it. I guess they probably just had the skill tree because the recent ones have had skill trees, but I feel like they could have left it alone. It'd have been fine. But yeah, I believe that is definitely now all I want to say. It's funny how I started saying that it was going to be more positive talk, and then it was more so I wish that it did this instead of that. But yeah, at the end of the day, 6 out of 10 could have been more, should have been more. I wished it were more, but because it was not as much as I wanted out of like character development and stuff, I do kind of want to play Valhalla, see what's going on there, see where Basim goes because it's quite interesting. And of course, naturally, with Assassin's Creed, people want to talk about the future of Assassin's Creed, and for me personally, I really want them to do a World War One Assassin's Creed, which was like hinted at, teased. A little tease was given to us in a Syndicate, which is also a really good Assassin's Creed game. I don't know why people bag on it all the time. It's one of the better ones, me personally. I think so. But yeah, where with I believe it was Lydia Fry. I don't remember the setup of it, but you could essentially play a few missions in World War One, and that was a really cool setting. And I really hope that they expand upon that at some point with maybe one of these type of games, like not massive sprawling open world RPG, because that wouldn't make sense. I don't think for a World War One game. So hey, Ubisoft. The next time you want to make a experience that harkens back to original Assassin's Creed, do it in World War One. That's great. You already have an assassin that people know in that time period. Build off of that. Build complete like don't do the thing where you did with Basim where you didn't really tell a story about his character, but like actually tell us more about Lydia Fry and see what's going on because that was cool and I would like more of that. But yeah, last thing I want to do on this episode of Talk About, I guess, because there's so many Assassin's Creed games and there's just such a long lineage of them. I also just want to say, in terms of ranking them amongst each other, Mirage is probably lower, probably closer to Assassin's Creed 1, which I guess was its goal. It achieved that for all of the good and the bad that comes with that. Because Assassin's Creed 1, of course, it was the first one. There's no knock again. You can't really knock it too much for not being inventive enough or creative enough because it's the first one. So they didn't expand. There's nothing to expand upon. It served as a great foundation for all of the games that came after it. But I do still think Assassin's Creed 1 is pretty low. Pretty low. And honestly, I think Mirage is as well. Because now that I'm trying to think about it, Assassin's Creed 1, down there. Let's work through this, okay? Let's work through this right now. Assassin's Creed 1. Let's pull up a Word doc. I'm going to pull up a Word doc and hope you guys, you're cool with that? Cool if I pull up a Word doc? Let's rank them. Let's see. This is also just completely off the top of my head, and I have not put any thought into them. Okay? So don't be too mad, okay? Let's see. Okay, Arial font. No, we want Times New Roman, and we'll make it big so you guys can see it. But it's full screen. Okay, here's the numbers. Okay, one. My favorite is Odyssey, so we're gonna say Odyssey is number one. Odyssey. Ah, crap! You're gonna watch me spell. Oh God, Odyssey. Oh, I spelled Odyssey wrong. Immediately wrong. Odyssey is the best one. Argue with the wall. Please argue in the comments below, actually. That would help me a lot with engagement. And hit the like button if you haven't. Also, let me know what your rankings of the Assassin's Creed games are as well, because there's so many of them and a lot of people have different tastes. And I'm very curious to see where they all rank amongst each other, because as far as I'm aware, people don't really mess with Odyssey as much as I do, at least. A lot of people really don't like Odyssey, and I don't know why. It's the best one. Anyways, and then after that, I want to say Black Flag, me personally. Black Flag, great time. Also, completely off the top of my head, we'll see what happens. And then I want to say Brotherhood. This is off the dome, like I'm saying. completely. We'll see how I feel about it after it's completely written out. Assins, come on. Assins. That's how you know how to spell it. Assassin's Creed 2. And then after that I'd probably say Revelations. Spelt it wrong. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. What else is there? There's AC1. Oh, there's also Valhalla. I'm just listing them now and then we'll order them after. Let me go in order. AC1, AC2, AC Brotherhood, Revelations 3, AC3. I guess AC Liberation as well then. AC3 Liberation. There's Black Flag. I got that. Oh, Unity. Oh, I loved Unity. People don't like Unity, I don't think. I loved Unity. So that's gonna end up pretty high actually. Oh, Syndicate. I mentioned Syndicate earlier and I didn't even put it here. Spelt it wrong too. And if I don't remember it, obviously it wasn't that good. So oh, Origins. Origins is one of the best ones. It's one of the like most critically acclaimed Assassin's Creed games. Okay, so we have Odyssey. Oh, let me go in order. That helps me. Assassin's Creed 1, 2, Brotherhood, Revelations, 3, Black Flag, Rogue. Rogue came out the same time as Unity. I didn't play Rogue though, so it's gonna not rank actually. So, but just so that it's there, so you understand. I think that's it. And if I forgot one, it wasn't good. So, all right, we're gonna rank this. Okay, so Rogue, go ahead and get rid of Rogue because I didn't play it. Like I said, Origins should definitely be higher than that. But Origins is my least favorite of the new types. Okay, that's not true. Valhalla is. So it's probably gonna be, excuse me, something like that. No, something like this. Okay, something like that. Okay. Unity was so good. And this one. Probably like that. Nope. Okay. Okay, now I'm looking at it and I'm just like, okay, is that right? This is how I feel off the top of my head. If I were to, like actually sit down and think about it, it might be different. But I think this is how I would rank the Assassin's Creed games. So, with that, Mirage ends up. Actually, this is wrong. That should be down there. Mirage ends up, I'll say right here. Seems fitting. Also, Valhalla, I don't think really should be ranked because I haven't finished it. I haven't played through it much. I haven't played enough of it to really have an actual opinion on it, I think, because of how big it is. 30 hours, 25 hours is not enough to judge this 300-hour game. So that might not be. Maybe I shouldn't have that there yet. But yeah, in terms of the games that I have played, yeah, Mirage ends up really low. That's a bummer. I didn't really realize how low it would be. But anyways, I've kind of gone off the rails. I didn't expect to do this, but hey, if you're here, let me know what your list looks like. What have you played all of them? Am I missing one? If I'm missing one, I'm gonna feel like a real fool. You know what? Just because I'm already going so long on just talking about nonsense at this point, I'm just gonna look up every Assassin's Creed game. Every Assassin's Creed game. Okay, every one in order. This comes from fiercepc.com. .co.uk. And it was Assassin's Creed, Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Revelations, Assassin's Creed 3, Black Flag, Rogue, Unity, Syndicate, Origins, Odyssey, Valhalla, Mirage. Nailed it. They also didn't nail it though because they didn't put Liberation on here. They didn't put any of the Blood or Chronicles games on here. but I nailed it. Okay. Also, I talked about those games. I didn't talk about them on this episode of Talk About, but I mentioned them. Anyways, I am just rambling now, and hopefully you love it. Hopefully you enjoyed it. But yeah, Assassin's Creed Mirage, which is what we were talking about at the start of this before we just started talking about all of Assassin's Creed. Um, yeah, 6 out of 10. I wish it were at least an 8 out of 10, but it ended up being a 6 out of 10. And there's, hey, lots of room for improvement if they decide to come back to this. Of course, we know rumors suggest that the next open world, big, massive RPG is going to be a Japan based one. So, of course, hey, I think it would be cool to do one of two things. Like I said, the World War One thing with Lydia Fry and really like delve deeper into her character and that time period as a whole because it's really cool. And honestly, you could also make it lead into World War Two for a sequel, which is big money right there. Okay, people, let's say people love World War Two, but that seems weird. People talk about World War Two a lot. You know what I mean? There's a lot of World War Two um media out there, and why not do Assassin's Creed in World War II? It'd be really cool. Okay. um but yeah, the other cool thing I think that they could do is in a similar vein to Valhalla and Mirage. It'd be cool if there's a cool character introduced in the Assassin's Creed Red, which is I believe the Japan one, what the code name for that one is. If there was a character in that they spun off and did like a prequel for as well in this style, I think that could be a cool way to have your cake and eat it too sort of thing, where it's like you're thinking of that story while doing you're thinking of the prequel story while crafting the big story for Red, that sort of thing, so that you can like share your resources. It'd be easier. I guess I think that's how game development works. Either way, I think it's cool to have both these massive RPGs and the smaller experience coexist. I like that they are doing that at the moment at least instead of just having one or the other because of course some fans aren't a big fan of the massive RPGs and some people would prefer this. I am the opposite way, but I still enjoy these games sometimes. I did enjoy Mirage very much, but what I did enjoy was pretty cool. Anyways, 6 out of 10, like I said. Anyways, I'm still just rambling. I'm rambling. Anyways, thanks for watching this episode of Talk About. Let me know what you thought of Assassin's Creed Mirage in the comments below. And hey, where would you like Assassin's Creed to go? What are your rankings of the Assassin's Creed games? I don't know what else. Anything else you want to tell me? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, you see the game release calendar. You know what game is about to come out. The next time I do a game focused talk about, it's going to be about Spider-Man 2. So be very excited for that because I am currently replaying Spider-Man Remastered in Miles Morales. So it's a good time. Until next time, though, stay safe and play some video games.